Good morning and welcome to the Point. It is Thursday, January 28th, 2021. Thank you to those of you joining us on the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channels 7, 11 and 20, and good morning to the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9. We apologize for the late start to this morning's program. Technology does not always cooperate with us, but we've made kind of makeshift. We've improvised. Let's say that we've improvised so that we can get through this morning's program. I have joining me as my guest via phone and WhatsApp and all kind of things going on in the back here. I have joining me this morning is clinical psychologist Shawnna Thomas-Cuffie. Good morning, Shawnna.
Good morning, Blossom. How are you?
I'm great. All is well?
Yes, all is well.
We got to do what we got to do, so we'll make it work how we should, how we could, and get through this morning. This is a continuation of a series that she started, I believe it was last week, with Joseph while he was here, in terms of talking about how we can acclimatize to the current school environment that we are undergoing in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're going to continue that conversation this morning. So Shawnna, just reiterate some of the things that you've pointed out when you spoke with Joseph last week, and then we'll pick up the conversation from there. So just reiterate some of the important points for us.
Absolutely. So one of the things we really focused in on was COVID-19 and the importance of parental involvement or parental engagement in your child's education during this COVID-19 dispensation. We also looked at some broadline focal areas. We pretty much looked at the equation for parental involvement, meaning parental involvement plus school administration and objectives equals student success. One of the things we noted was the fact that safety with technology is a big deal. And while the students are on various platforms, some are on Edmodo, some are on, NSTAR, some are on Moodle, and different platforms. We wanted parents to not just say, the children good, they could maneuver their way. But what I did last week, I urged the parents to learn the platform, get comfortable with it, have some accountability as well with the students. You can get on, see what homework assignments are there, see what's due, and by doing that, we would be able to help them, right? We'll be able to help them deal with challenges. We spoke a bit about stressors that would occur with students and families. We spoke about 3 simple activities that parents can do with their children. At the end of the day, 1, debrief them, ensure that they have nutritious meals, not filling them with processed foods and snacks, and ensuring that they have what you call a safe space with which to work. So that was pretty much the extent of the conversation last week.
And this week, let's look at how parents can play a bigger and greater role. Continue on what you started last week. Yes, you've pointed out that they can better acquaint themselves with the different platforms and so, but there are parents who may find that difficult to do, considering that they also have daily duties, responsibilities, maybe other children, they have work, they want to get a little relaxation. How can parents maneuver this time frame? Because it's not just coming home and helping son and daughter these days, it's coming home helping son and daughter, but they need extra attention and extra help considering the current climate.
Right. So one of the things we are going to talk about today, which is going to be a capstone understanding of one of the needs that students have and how we can empower and enrich them. We are going to look at the parent's role as creating a sense of spiritual space. And under spiritual mental health falls too, because when we think about it, right, it is important to underpin that we are not just advocating for a child's academic success solely, But we want that a child's spiritual well-being during these times are advocated for as well, Blossom, because we have to understand that we are holistic beings. And when we use the holistic approach to a child's safety and empowerment, it enhances a child's well-being, including the spiritual one. Psychologically, the ecosystem of a child or student is made up of several layers: the family, the school, religious communities, laws and policies, as well as the wider community. So, zeroing in on your question after this preamble, I would like to say that the communication link is key. Parents have to stay in touch with form mistresses, masters, homeroom teachers, principals, and schools. All schools now have an email address. Most schools, if not all, have WhatsApp chats and so on, but you have numbers, you have to reach out. You must stay in the know. If you're experiencing any difficulty, someone can be reached. As I said, the ecosystem of a child is made up of several layers. So if your child or your student has these several layers, you have to be intertwined, okay, with the school, religious community, the laws and policies, what governs the school, what are the policies concerning homework online. Do you know when it says 12 a.m., it's actually 12 midnight the next night, right, or the next day, and that is 12 a.m. in the morning, right? Some students, when they see the time and they they get confused, Blossom. So this morning we want to look at the parental role in supporting a child's spiritual well-being in the changing world that we face, and how that development can really enrich their remote learning or blended learning experience without causing undue stressors to parents. I would like to draw the public's attention to a research that was just conducted 9 months ago. It's another one I found. It's by Iragatu. It's an ethics education, United Nations non-profit organization in Switzerland. And they did a study on the impact of COVID-19 on children. And looking at 100 children, they found that 71% of the children, all of whom were students, felt isolated and lonely due to school closures. 91% of respondents acknowledged that they were facing emotional distress, troubling feelings, including anxiety, anger, and worry due to the uncertainty of how long this crisis would last and how to deal with this isolation. So this morning our topic is very pertinent, and the key link here is parents. So when the World Bank did an estimate, it suggests that COVID-19 will push 49 million people into extreme poverty, right, by 2022. And we know that poverty exacerbates violence against children, and it deprives them of basic services, access to education, and impacts family well-being. So we want to draw that link this morning, that the interdependence between human actions against the environment and exposure to novel diseases such as coronavirus has now become more evident. And we want to place great importance on the need to protect our students through providing, a strong sense of mental health and spiritual well-being for them.
How can parents do that, and what role can the ministry play in providing that assistance as well, the parents who may be finding it or having a hard time in doing that?
Right. So on this level, ministerially, we have all units on board, specifically my unit, the Student Support Services. We have a values education, we have guidance curriculum, we have health and family life, and of course the denominational schools would have their religious instruction through assemblies, and so that would take up, right, that responsibility. So when we respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have to focus really on three axes. One, mobilizing religious communities and child protection experts to protect children from violence and support their spiritual and mental health well-being. Secondly, promote approaches for parents, caregivers, and teachers to foster children's spiritual safety and well-being during or after lockdown curfews or removed time from school. Third, we have to raise the voices of children and young people to foster ethical reflections on the impact of COVID-19 and to empower them to contribute to the transforming of our world. So, Blossom, the world has transformed. And in order to contribute to it, we have to embrace it. We have to know that learning, working, living, thinking, everything has changed. So that's the first thing. But there are some hands-on things parents can do. After you embrace that, listen, things as I know it have changed. I'm walking around, I'm wearing a mask, I have to sanitize, I have to keep social distancing, I must get in my home by a certain time. What we do with our children, we have to develop simple messages for them. Okay, so one, we need to have nurturing spaces in our homes, not just spaces where you sit and you do remote learning, but we have to have nurturing spaces, spaces where you can have family talks, excuse me, spaces where you can just have meditation moments. We have to create time to do things together. Secondly, playing, reading stories, cooking, gardening, eating. This helps to build bonds. And building bonds mean that you're building spiritual connectors. Thirdly, we need to help children connect via the phone or the internet with family and friends. When students hear familiar voices and faces across the globe, across Ireland, across the region, it helps them to feel still like they are part of the global community without coronavirus just simply isolating them. So it lessens the feelings of isolation and depression and anxiety that they feel when we find the moments to connect. Fourthly, find joy and positivity in the little things in life. So if you're making a meal, talk while you're doing it. Talk therapy is very important for the mind and the spirit, right? Create spaces for meditation, reflection, and praying together. Okay? These are some key tools and techniques parents can use. They can also find ways to do something for the community. So if somebody needs help, of course, adhering to the protocol, you help. Once you're able to help, you help. And these are some things that eases the burden of our families, because remember, the student belongs to a family. The parents belong to a family. Okay? Talk and share about feelings so that there's mutual support and better communication. Blossom, we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. If you need to cry, you have to cry. That's called catharsis. Let it out. Don't keep these emotions pent up. You have to verbalize and vocalize and express your emotions in a healthy way. And of course, if you can't do that and you have to see a therapist, you have to see anybody that's available to help. The help is available. You also must talk about the virus, because the virus is a big deal, but you don't focus on it like a hypervigilant freak, but you talk about it. You talk about it. What's happening in our communities? What's happening across the world? How can we better keep ourselves safe? You do that as a family. And lastly, you be a role model. So the things that we are trying to inculcate, techniques in our students and our children, we have to model those habits and behaviors as well.
I like these tips. And is the ministry making efforts to ensure that you provide these tips, I guess outside of this program, of course, to provide these tips to parents so that they're not just going about this by themselves or vai, but they're actually getting the necessary information and suggestions that they would need to go through this time?
Yes, of course. And the great thing about it is every school is in a district, and every district has goals and management teams and so who have professionals on them who are helping parents, right? The help is available, the help is there, and it's very, very, very organized, that kind of help, because you have some schools who would have a culture off. Let's say maybe every Wednesday morning sending out messages both to students and parent help. You've had Zoom sessions happening across Ireland with parents, not just the regular PTA meeting where you report anything, but meetings where parents are meeting to be educated, to be supported, and to be enriched. So that is happening island-wide, and it's happening on the school-based level, right? And it is very rich, and it's been happening for months. It's been happening for months, okay? We've had several things going on, including our program on GIS, right, called the Counselor, that has been on for, 13 weeks, and the tapes are available. There are different things that we do. I am on this morning, continuing speaking to the nation, and that is just at a social media level, but it's happening on the ground as well. So we are doing a lot, and it's a great team effort. It's a great team effort. The ministry is concerned about the psychosocial being of all of our students, and we continue to thrive in that area and continue to seek for not just their academic safety, but mental health and all the other aspects of their safety and safekeeping.
All right, Mrs. Cuffie, let's take a break, and then we're going to come back and continue this well-needed and much-needed conversation. This is To The Point on Classic FM and GBN. We'll be right back.
Now we can stay safe while at the same time reducing our budget to maintain a clean and safe environment at our home, school, office, church, or even on the bus. Fortune Foods has gone a long way to source premium products that are at least 30 to 50% less than other brands. That's right, 30 to 50% cheaper than other brands. We have a multi-purpose 80% strength liquid sanitizer for cleaning surfaces that is also safe on hands, as well as 70 to 75% gel sanitizers available in 1 gallon and smaller sizes. Plus, when you buy in bulk, you save even more. Right now, every dollar counts. Be wise. Sanitize with Fortune Foods' range of sanitizing products.
Distributed by Fortune Foods Company Limited, Tempe, St. George's. Telephone 435-2247.
Grenada's chief medical officer has ordered that all confirmed positive COVID-19 individuals, their contacts, and members of their household must remain in quarantine or isolation for 14 days. Anyone who fails to comply with this order will be in breach of the Public Health COVID-19 Regulations 2020 and is guilty of an offense. Upon summary conviction, that person will be liable to a penalty of up to $10,000. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back to The Point, speaking with clinical psychologist Shawnna Thomas-Cuffie, adapting to this new way of schooling. That's the topic this morning. Before I go to the phone lines, let me make sure that we have all the tips that parents may be able to use and implement to help their child or children go through this time. Any other tips you may have for spiritual guidance as we go through this time with COVID-19 pandemic?
Right. So one of the approaches I would like parents to use is to make an intentional effort in setting down a home timetable. That is key. And that is what you call part of your mental organizational skills. Okay? Make sure that there's a routine. While the school sends a timetable, that is great. But your own home schedule must be maintained. And please know that not because the children are studying and learning mostly remotely or using the integrated approach that they can't do chores. Chores builds character. And it's important for them to learn to balance both. So that's one of the last tips in addition to the 8 that I've given. I would like parents to know, and don't feel guilty that they have to do things around the house, because you have to learn to balance. And it's important in being a role model that as you model the behavior you expect, you model positive behaviors in balancing and strengthening their resilience core, because this helps them to become model, not just citizens, but model human beings.
At this point, we would invite our viewers and listeners who may have questions for Mrs. Cuffie related to the topic, please. This is your opportunity to call in. The landline number is 435-2041. That's also the WhatsApp number. Please, only written messages on WhatsApp. And you can also participate on the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page and the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel. Shawnna, in relation to the use of devices to help with schooling. I like the phrase schooling. That's a term I grew up with. Using devices, we know that children can get distracted with other things on devices. The internet is always available. How can parents monitor their children's electronic footprint? And I also wanted to zero in on as well on a recent, matter of fact, you know what, we'll get into that a little later. Just tell me, how can parents monitor and guide their children as they use these devices to do schoolwork and hopefully not get distracted?
Okay, so you can do that by you put in your parental controls. Okay, there are parental controls available. You put that in. If they're using a tablet, there are certain things you can block, right? Most people work in a place where there's an IT tech or they know an IT specialist. Utilize those resources. Anything I don't know, I search, I find out, and you do it right in the presence, of the child. You say, listen, I am looking out for your best interest, and the internet is a place, it's far-reaching and beyond. And in order to have a responsible digital experience, there are certain things I need to do. And you have to talk with them about expectations being online. But you do the hard work and you block certain things. You have certain things emailed to you. You link their emails to yours because there are certain apps they can't use without your permission. And then the app itself, if they try to download it, they'll email. So you have to do that legwork. And if you don't know exactly how to do it, talk to an IT person or talk to a 4th form or 5th form student. Half of them know what to do anyway. And we have a lot of those around, yes.
Agreed. Let's go to the phone line. We have a first caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Ms. Blossom. Are you getting a feedback?
No, I'm not.
All right. Okay. Well, let me start with Miss Cuffie first. Miss Cuffie, it's not everybody could have a device, to go online, right? It's not everybody. So this online business is a little bit complicated, and if you go by somebody to use the device today, you can go every day. So, so then what I want to hear from you, what is the conclusion to that? So, Ms. Blossom, you take it over.
What is it? Sorry, Mr. Bido, repeat it. What is the what?
It's not everybody will have a device.
Right, understood. So what is the...
Yes, go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, the question you wanted to ask. I didn't get it completely.
All right, well, let me make it clear. Is that if you go by somebody and use the device today, you can go every day. But we live in a poor country, right? It's not everybody go have a device to go online. But when they say go online, you go online, yes, it's true. But then, no, you have to have your online. And not everybody have a motor car, right? Not, So, if you want to leave Sotes to go in St. John, you have to take a bus if you have a car, right? So then that's just what I want to Well, that is what I want to understand, because everything online.
Understood. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bido.
All right, okay.
Ms. Cuffie, I guess he's really asking accessibility to these devices in doing the schoolwork for these children.
Right. Well, that is not something that I am actively speaking on, the topic today, right? We are empowering parents, okay, in COVID-19 education, and remote learning is just one aspect of it. All right, that's nothing I can speak to. Parents know that if they don't have a device, they know that the measures are made and different things are done for them to have access. They know who to call and they know what to do. So that's not anything I'm speaking about today at all. We are talking about parenting, right? A student, your student in COVID-19 times, and we're looking today at spiritual and mental well-being. Those technical terms and so on maybe would have to be for another official or for another time. All right, we're sticking with the topic.
All right, and just Mr. Bido, the Ministry of Education has been making efforts to provide devices to students who do not or may not have. So I know they have been working with that aspect of the remote learning to ensure that the children have devices. We have another caller. Good morning, caller.
Morning, greetings, Sister Blossom.
Greetings.
And greetings to your guests. Now, Sister Blossom, we have to pay much attention to what we're teaching the children. We came a long way, and up to today we're falling short because we didn't know where we come from. And now that we have the internet and everything is exposed to us, now we have to make sure that we program the children to the right kind of teachings and programs that could really lift them up and make them see the future in a different level. So I'm saying that to say that we should be able to expose the children to much more of our history, not only in Grenada. And I'm talking about from a black people point of view. I'm talking about from an African people point of view. We lack so much. That's why today even our politicians can't even keep us in the order that we're supposed to. So let we train the children. Let me expose them to the history way back before slavery. Teach that to the children so we can be able to have a better generation in the future. My sisters, give thanks.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cuffie?
Yes. Thank you, caller, for your contribution.
Let me make sure that if there are other questions on the social media. Somebody on Facebook is saying, my concern is for children in a vulnerable home environment during these difficult times. An already volatile home can easily become toxic.
Yes, and that is indeed true. Research shows that. Last week, Joseph and I went through the UNICEF report for the Caribbean, Latin America, and Central America. And one of the things they were showing that there has been an increase, in violence and, assault and so in children across the globe, okay, based on the lockdown. And we know that those are the social disparities which exist. And, as a nation, as a community, as professionals, we continue to empower, enrich, and educate. And as community members, we must do what's right, and we must step up and speak out and not say things like, me, that's not my business, them over there. And the narrative, Blossom, the narrative when something is gravely uncomfortable and it's wrong and it's ethically wrong and it's indecent. And because it draws sometimes on our own experience, as children and what we may have gone through and how we weathered the storm or whether we got support or not, people choose not to report. But anything that's wrong, you know what to do. You not preach to kids and children and tell them you must do this and you must do that. But adults are not living up to it, right? So while we know that the vicissitudes of life have changed, we must also be our brother's keeper. We must also be a communal element, meaning that I see wrong, I call it out. I see right, I embrace it. Don't just call out the wrong. There are hundreds of parents and thousands, well, millions of parents around the world who are experiencing trying times. And many are making a plethora of sacrifices to ensure that students log in or attend, find bus fare for those who are going out, and a lot of sacrifices have been made. So we want to laud those efforts, not just come down on the negative. You have some people who protect and nurture their children's spirituality and ethical stance with all their heart and minds, right? Because they see the merit in it. So we need to indeed be our brother's keeper. And once we continue to assist and help, speak up, and do what we can to help the next person, then we would really be doing what the caller spoke about, Black consciousness. If you follow the history of our people, we did not build civilizations and kingdoms and so just by sitting and twiddling our fingers. Take the Great Pyramids, for example. These people did not have mathematical and engineering implements, right? But it is still a great wonder of the world. So we can learn from history and know that if great things can be done with great minds who had very little resources, we can use COVID-19 as a lesson to do the same.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning, Ms. Thomas, Ms. Cuffie. I am an old age citizen now, and what I'm advocating to that, you know, in the old age was a community to raise a child. But in this time now, that the community cannot speak to a child anymore because the parent that is supposed to nurture the children, when the community try to show a child what is wrong, you know, the parent come on with the children and they get on and they use all kind of derogatory statement in front of the children to the elderly, Miss Coffee, and that is a trend that's going on, right? And what I notice is that the reason why long-time people used to speak patois before us as the younger children is because children wasn't supposed to be in big people's conversation except when you are home and something is wrong, you speak to the children in a manner that they will have respect for the elderly. But Miss Coffee, that gone out the door, right, gone out. I notice in the morning I'm living in a community, and by 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, there's a set of children in the road. I wonder where the parents are. And Miss Coffee, good morning, and when you go home, tell Mommy Shawnna say, or when you pass, tell Mommy Shawnna say good morning for me, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thanks, sir. I will. Blossom, is amazing when people know your mommy, eh? Oh, gosh. Oh, dear. Listen, I am with you, caller. A lot has changed. You know, one thing that's constant in life is change. And when you have shift in core values, we need to just understand how to do a reshift or to reassess. There are times when you grew up and 6 o'clock was a time you had to be in. And now maybe for some families it's 7. For some families it's 8, depending on the age and stage of the child, right? But that has to be from the core values of the family. And every family must embrace a set of core values. So if your core values start with respect, then it goes to honor, cooperation, accountability, truth. You know, the pillars of character. There are 7 pillars of character. And all these pillars of character must be embraced by every family. But that is just what we think. There are some people whose families, let's say, for example, the mob. You know, when you grow up in a mob family or mafioso, you know, there's honesty on a certain level, but you know how the mob works. So every family has their own set of core values. And in order for us to really move forward mentally during this time, we have to nurture our children's spirituality and ethical reflections through their empowerment. Now, Blossom, a very important way to protect our children is to empower them. You know, very often we think that the protection of children is a vertical action, something that we do towards them, but we forget that children are individuals in their own right and that their empowerment is for their protection. So as they become aware of their rights and their responsibilities, we can equip them to speak up and respond in positive ways. You know, so that is a second concrete response that we'd like parents to really enact. You know, nurturing your child's spirituality and ethical reflections through their empowerment. So when they're in the classroom, they're on the playing field, whether they're in the pool, whether they're doing whatever, their spirituality and their ethics, which would be embedded in their core values, would be, you know, their bedrock for empowerment.
Let me go back to the landline. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Auntie Blossom.
Morning, Miss Jacob.
Everything all right?
Everything is good.
Yes, and the young lady that is, what is her name?
Miss Cuffie, Shawnna Thomas-Cuffie.
Well, if that is a coffee from Windsor Forest, I know. Sister Coffee, good morning, sweetheart.
Good morning.
How you do?
Yes.
I'm blessed.
I love to hear that. Bless, everybody blessed by the grace of God. Well, Tanti Blossom, I talked to you this morning about my mommy already. So
okay.
I had to talk to Miss Coffee now about her mommy before I talk to her.
Ask a question, Miss Jacob. Go ahead and ask the question.
Yes, the question is, when I was growing up, I could never forget that. And then long ago, what those people do long ago? They put all the children in front. Yeah, 5 of us, 5 parents behind us, and they put us in front. Going to church. And by that Sunday, we're not going to church. Papa, well, no, some of those girls and them watching back behind to see what granny, mommy, whatever, what they do. So we see they pass a lady and they don't tell the lady how they, my God. When he coming back down, we do the same thing. Don't tell the lady how the, what? The lady beat us in the parents' place, in the parents' day, and the parents quarreled us right in front of the lady. Say, no, all you don't do that. And long ago, when you had children, and the neighbors and them, neighbor, what go? So the neighbor coming out. And they speaking patois, and you can't understand what they saying.
Okay.
What they say. It's patois. And after we didn't learn some of the patois too.
Right.
It's very good.
Thank you, Miss Jacob.
So, Sister Coffee, you have a blessed day. God bless you and take care, Mommy, for me.
All right, Miss Jacob.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Any reply, Miss Coffee?
No. Just thank her for listening. You know, it's always great to have a varied, set of listeners and how people can connect to what you're saying in their own way. That is very important because, Blossom, we want takeaway. We want positive takeaway from this experience, yes.
Right. There's a YouTube. There's a YouTube question. Somebody's asking, is education being taught virtually by teachers, or are they given assignments which parents have to take up as some may not be capable?
Or some may not be?
May not be capable. I would kind of adjust the question a little bit. I have heard comments from some parents that some of the things that their children are being taught or being given to do during virtual learning, that they are not au fait with it and they don't feel like they could help them. And one lady specifically said it kind of hurts her feelings that she cannot help her son because she does not know the work. How can parents adjust to that? Because let's say we learn one thing in school, and now that we're parents, they're learning something else, so we can't really offer that assistance. So how can parents adapt to that kind of scenario where we're not au fait with the work, but we still want to help?
Well, what you can do is you can link with the teacher. All the parents are supposed to be on WhatsApp chat or communicable platforms. You just link with the teachers. Blossom, the word communication could never be overused because social media was formed based on communication, right? The communication with whomever you are, you have to stay connected. If your child has special needs, you have to stay connected. If your child does not have special needs, you have to stay connected. Whether your child or student is a high flyer, medium flyer, no flyer, low flyer, the policy is no child left behind. So you must stay connected, right? You must stay connected. Institutions are open. Excuse me. And you can call, you can make an appointment, you can go in, the landlines are there, you can call. I mean, these are some simplistic things. But, sometimes if you are very uncomfortable with a situation, you would not be too au fait psychologically to reach out. But once it's in your child's best interest as a parent, you have to take that level of autonomy to go through. Now we have YouTube videos, When I was attending St. Joseph's Convent, my parents didn't know anything about physics. You understand? My dad went to GBSS and he's a geography man. If you want a country in the world and you don't know it, ask daddy. You understand? If you want an animal, you have to ask my son. So we have these varied gifts and abilities and we have to use it. Right? So I used to have to search the textbook, go to the library, read something 3 and 4 times. And, when you tarry with your children and they see that you're undeterred and you're not giving up, that spurs them on, Blossom, to continue the process of excelling. I am a mommy too. But my education, I'm a humble social scientist, right? I'm not a musician. I didn't study art. But my son is doing all those subjects. But I do what I saw my mother did. And I stay with him and I support. I'm not uncomfortable because I don't know it. I only know what I half noticed because he told me and then we looked at the videos together. I can't play a tune with the lick of anything. Show me a fret on the guitar. I remember, okay, the fret is that space in between there. Don't ask me what it does. Right? But when your children are involved in certain things, you just there as their biggest fan, as the motivator. But as you're motivating them, you are building their internal motivation. Right? So you have to do what is comfortable, which is to ask. Because somebody around you may know. Right? We all have different gifts and we must not feel uncomfortable when we don't know something. It provides an area of opportunity for us to develop. We don't have to become an expert in that field, but you must reach out. The teachers are there, everybody's there on hand, reach out. Some of us, we waste on comfortability, and the time we spend to be uncomfortable, the child has gone untaught and unlearned. We have resources, we have opportunities, we need to reach out and get them. We are on a small island, and many people can help. Blossom, you know how much people all over would send different things for me to edit. People have taught years ago, doing subjects in college that, I'm not au fait with, but they say, Miss Thomas, I remember you were my English teacher, and I'm doing my master's is this and that. Can you help me with my thesis? From all over the world. Sometimes I say, well, if I edit this word, would that be academically correct? Because I'm editing for English, But you can assist. You can assist and you can reach out. So we need to drop the level of discomfort and walk proudly that, listen, the little that I know, my child can glean from that. And you know what you want your child to glean from? The fact that you're not a quitter, that you're not ashamed of what you don't know, but you're proud of what you do know. That's called metacognition. The ability to know what you do know and what you don't know, and that you can move on so that they would become champions of learning, understanding that is my self-worth that counts, and my education is built off of my self-worth platform. That's the advice I have for parents in that case.
All right. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Blossom. Welcome back. Good morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, my contribution is, I think in this modern time, I think we got so busy that we have time. We don't have time to do this. We don't have time to do. But when you think about it, we are so busy. But when we die, likewise, we're going to just dead slow and full stop. All the speed, we don't have time to do this. We don't have to go. But life begins with a foundation. Everything starts with a foundation. All the old values and teaching that the elderly people give to us when we was growing up, we throw that behind our back, simply. You may not grow up in that, but in the times when the young girls used to take pan and make more than make kukutua and say they're making cake, that was something that the lawn, in those days you couldn't buy the flour and you didn't have this oven to buy things to do all these things. But that was a way of learning to do something. You understand? No, some of the people are some of the younger, even the younger folks, I mean, that we are educated more than the older people, and they didn't know this. But the older people was very brilliant and smart, because how you become to get all this education is from the older person. The elderly is no, look, I didn't reach that level, so I have to make all sacrifice to make my daughter or my son go to a college and learn this and want to do it. When we do that, they do all the sacrifice for us, we still turn back and condemning them. But everything is an improvement. We have to take from that step and go to that stage. No, they used to buy dollies for the young girls to make, to plait hair and play and things right now. But we taking everything from technology. They don't want you to learn to plait your children hair or to learn to do that. They making horse hair and give you a thing and you just put it on your head and done with the whole show shortcut. But we have to know as a country and people what you want and what are your values. Neighborhood, you cannot tell a child something like you're trying to give them a training or teaching them something because you think that is wrong. You're not a parent. What you're telling me and all this stuff. But
okay,
step by step, we have to keep going, learn from each other. Everything in Grenada, we're supposed to be working together, but the teaching, everything now is competition. You know, no competition. We're too small. We have to work together.
All right. Thank you very much. Ms. Cuffie?
Okay, thank you, caller.
There was a question on the Facebook, I believe it was. Well, more a comment. When I hear some parents speak to their children, it is no surprise that children do not have or show respect to others. Respect is two-way. If you show respect, you will be shown respect, in my experience. Respect between parents and children.
Yes, great.
What role that plays?
That's a core value. That's a core value that I just spoke about. So it's right up that alley.
And any final thoughts as we wrap the program?
All right. Well, one of the things I wanted to share, right? You know, Ms. Cuffie's into research and statistics. One of the things I have found out, the COVID-19 pandemic has created the largest disruption of education systems in history, affecting nearly 1.6 billion learners in more than 190 countries, all right? Most countries in the region closed at some point between February and July of last year due to COVID-19 related public health and social measures. So if 1.6 billion learners in 190 countries have had some disruption in their education, it meant that, you know, all of these learners are going to go through some psychological challenges, and all the parents too, of course. So with school closures and the challenges with remote and integrated learning, parents have had to take up the role of being both parent and teacher. And at this time, most parents do feel like their space has been raided by their children. And we're all trying to figure out, how do we balance it all? The engagement of parents can play an important role in mitigating learning, in particular in the most disenfranchised areas, okay? So what we want to do is to empower our parents to know that there are avenues and ways to reach out and get help. And in order to do that, you must have some factors working for you. One, you need to make a plan, right? Have some self-direction. And two, collaboration. Get the students involved. You know, parents, you don't have to be a superhero and do an entire homeschool thing on your plate, but you empower your child, your children who are now your students at home by making them part of the process. Collaboration includes creativity, critical thinking, and communication. And those are some very pertinent skills students can learn for leading fulfilled lives as adults. So parents, I want you to take these tips, these techniques, these tools, and go with it and have a happy, blessed parenting during this COVID-19 dispensation. Reach out for help when you need help. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Empower, enrich, and educate your students. You are your child's first teacher, and you are your child's moral and ethical educator. And I know that many of you have been doing a great job, and kudos to you. And as we continue to have the conversation, we'll have more tips, we'll have more strategies to aid you in your success along this journey.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Cuffie. Continue doing what you're doing and have yourself a good day today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Clinical psychologist Shawnna Thomas-Cuffie, we thank her for being our guest this morning, and thank you, our viewers and listeners, for tuning in to The Point this morning. Always appreciate your viewership and your listenership. That's the end of my time with you for today. I'll be back tomorrow morning, God willing. Stay safe, continue to be COVID-19 smart, and have yourselves a blessed Thursday.